Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater, and with Once Upon a Deadpool getting ready to descend upon theaters, it feels like nothing can really stand in the way of this movie maybe being a success or maybe not being a success. At this point, it's kind of like Schrodinger's Deadpool. We don't know if this experiment is going to work, but one of the things that could have tanked it, one of the things that could have absolutely, utterly destroyed this whole concept would be if Ryan Reynolds and the people behind the film decided to rip off the entire concept. And that's kind of what happened when it came out yesterday that Deadpool's Fred Savage idea may have actually been stolen. And this was interesting because a lot of people were talking about it. I mean, the trailer dropped the other day for Once Upon a Deadpool, right? The trailer came out. It looked pretty fantastic. Some pretty solid jokes from Fred Savage. He himself was quite savage against Deadpool and where it stands in regards to Marvel. And the movie itself was definitely going to be something people were going to go see. If anything, parents could take their kids to go see it. And I think a couple of dollars from every ticket is going to actually go to fight cancer. So it's a solid, worthwhile endeavor to go and see this movie. I don't think it would work as a tax write-off for a donation, but hey, you know what? You could always give it a shot. But when it came to the concept of whether or not the Princess Bride knockoff was taken by somebody else, we actually have to go back to December 7th of last year, where this guy here, by the name of MVB, says here, at Vancini Reynolds, if Marvel forces you to make a PG-13 Deadpool, just copy the framing device from The Princess Bride and have Deadpool censoring it for Fred Savage as a bedtime story. A kidnapped adult Fred Savage. There, I fixed it. As we can see, it came on 5:49 a.m., December 7th, 2017. And that is exactly what happened, right? That's exactly what went down to the movie. Now, again, people were really asking the question, did they plagiarize this concept? Did they actually go out and rip it off from some fan on Twitter? And if so, would that be considered illegal? Well, according to Deadline here, Ryan Reynolds talked about the framing device since 2006, saying Fox has been asking for a PG-13 film since 2006. I've said no since 2006. Now, this one time I said yes on two conditions. First, a portion of the proceeds goes to charity. Second, I want to kidnap Fred Savage. The second condition took some explaining. And then, of course, one of the writers in the movie does go on to say here, we were kicking around some ideas when I think it was Ryan Reynolds who had the great framing device, and we all got excited and went to the studio. They said, yeah, let's do it. Fire up the cameras. So, you know, here that's the thing. So Ryan pitched it, and the writers backed it, and the writers took it to Fox, and Fox really liked it. And we have a guy from a couple of years, from a year ago almost, tweeting out the exact framing device for Once Upon a Deadpool. I'm not going to sit. I know coincidences are going to ultimately be the name of the game here. At least that's what they're trying to say. But at the same time, it comes across as I mean, that is a little too on the nose, right? That is a little too on the nose. But according to MVB, he says, Van City and I had a brief talk, and I believe he was as confused as I was. It seems like this may have all just been a big, insane coincidence, and I'm happy to leave it at that. I'm looking forward to seeing the movie in December. Hashtag Deadpool, hashtag Once Upon a Deadpool. So this guy talked to Ryan Reynolds. They figured it out. Basically, it's like, oh, wow, what a crazy coinkydink. I mean, like, this never would have happened. Now, ultimately, I don't want to sit there and say that Ryan Reynolds stole the idea, because I don't want to sit there and accuse anyone of plagiarism. Here's maybe what I think happened. Reynolds gets a lot of tweets. This was a year ago. It's possible he might have been reading it. He might have been perusing it. He just doesn't remember. It could have been the middle of the night. It just could have been something that stuck on his brain as he passed by. We store so much data and so much information on a near constant basis that, you know, who knows where certain ideas come from. And it could have been something that just he thought was funny, but ultimately came from this. Now, if you want my honest opinion, I think that's probably more the likely answer. I think he read it. I think he doesn't remember reading it. I think it's stored in his subconscious because it was a great idea. And I think he was able to play it up to the writers and to David Leitch and to Fox and to Fred Savage, and they went and they made it a reality. Now, does MVB here does he deserve payment or recognition or credit? In some cases, I would argue, yeah, maybe like a special shout out at the end of the credits or something. But at the same time, if they were to acknowledge MVP as being the creator of this concept, then they'd have to pay him. Right? They would. They'd have to pay him unless he signed away some kind of agreement. Now, I bet you anything, because of the confusion, Ryan Reynolds is probably going to buy MVP a ticket to go see the movie, right? Or maybe give him a couple tickets for him and his friends to go see it, or give him some kind of swag, right? Some kind of, hey, no hard feelings. What a weird, interesting coinky dink. Ha 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 ha. How would you like this autographed Deadpool DVD? Something along those lines. And that's fine too. But the way that it works when it comes to social media is ultimately Twitter is a public platform. At least that's how it's perceived. So the ideas that he put out there, because he was willfully giving it away, does basically become part of the public domain. And Ryan Reynolds, if he wanted to, could take it and run with it. And there's really not much MVP or MVB would be able to do about it. That's just the way that I see it. Now, if MVB got himself a great freaking copyright lawyer, or an IP lawyer, and took 20th Century Fox to task over this, they would probably settle. I mean, in the case of the Satanic Temple suing Netflix's Sabrina because of the Baphomet statue, Netflix settled out of court for who knows how much. They wouldn't tell us how much it was, but they did give them credit. So it's entirely possible that this guy could do that if he wants to, but it does appear to me that MVB doesn't want to do that. That he thinks it's a funny coincidence, that he thinks it's a funny happenstance, and he's like, he can go, hey, I had that idea a year ago, it ended up in a movie, that's pretty freaking cool, and now people know his name. Now, what Hollywood should also maybe be doing is looking at him and going like, what other ideas do you have? Because you never know. You never know. But that being said, look, this whole thing probably ultimately is nothing that is sinister, nothing that is malicious. I would argue not. And I'm not trying to put that on anyone. I'm not trying to sit there and say that Ryan Reynolds did anything wrong. I don't think he did. I think that our subconscious stores data. I think this was a fantastically great idea. I think that's exactly what happened here. And that's where I'm going to leave it. The framing device for Once Upon a Deadpool is probably the only reason why I'm interested in seeing a PG-13 F-word less version of the movie with no blood, because that's what they're going to take out. They're going to take out the blood and they're going to take out the swearing, right? There's no nudity in the movie. So other than that, they're just going to take out most of the blood, because that's what they do. That's what the MPAA is going to look for. When we go see the movie, when it comes out in a couple days, you're going to notice that not a lot is missing. You're probably going to see that Deadpool doesn't decapitate people. They're going to cut around that, even though those shots are one take and amazing. You're going to notice a lot of fewer swear words, and that's going to be about it. But I'm hoping the jokes that they have with the Fred Savage stuff makes up for the price of admission, because that's ultimately what you're paying for. And part of the proceeds is going to benefit fighting cancer, which is also really good. So there's a couple good reasons to see it. Anyway, those are just my thoughts on this one. I do want to know what you guys have to say about this. Be sure to let me know down in the comments. What are your opinions? Do you think that this is just a coincidence? Do you think this is malicious property theft on Ryan Reynolds' part? Let me know. And if you haven't already, please toss a thumbs up, hit subscribe, check back often for more content from me. And as always, my name is Matt Jarbo. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a fantastic day, and peace out.